Cartman Productions, and today we're going to be fixing up the blue shadow. Alright, well, first things first, we got to start with the back, because the engine mounting plate I had removed so that I could use it on the roadkill. Now that I have it back and it's ready, we need to weld it back on. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning some metal, and then we'll go ahead and weld it up. So that's where the plate was before, which means I may want to cut that and insert it up there. Now we're just going to try welding it here. Well, we're not going to weld it yet, but we're going to clean the metal and see how everything's going to fit together. Alrighty, now we're going to take a look at what goodies we have in our little goodie box over here. So this is the box that I just got in the mail. So let's go ahead and tear her open. Alright, so we got a ton of bubble wrap, which is super useful for absolutely nothing go-kart related. We got this cool Go Power Sports sticker. Shout out to Go Power Sports. Look at those. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just really like the stuff they got. You should go check them out. GoPowersports.com. Great place for your go-kart stuff. Let's see here, we got our little bill here. I'm not going to show that for privacy reasons. We have our two brake pads, so hopefully our brakes can start working decently again. And then we've also got this big fat boy, 36-inch axle. So, let's go ahead and begin mounting some of this stuff. I think we're going to do the brake pads first, because, you know, brakes are kind of important. So, let's go ahead and get these in here. now I am just taking the brake apart. Since I couldn't get the other pad out the way it was, there's these two bolts that hold the caliper together, because the caliper itself is in two pieces. So I'm going to pull it apart and see if I can do anything to get that other pad out. Just got the old pad out. Old pad versus new pad. New one, obviously, is a lot better. Another important detail, these are actually the correct pads. For a while, I thought they might not be, because my luck sucks. Right, now we gotta put that in there, and then we gotta figure out this tensioner thing, the Titan thing. Alright, let's grab the other pad. So our brakes are now fixed, at least for now, to the extent that I can fix them right now. It'll take some adjusting, but good news is the brake disc can fit inside there, so that's pretty good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to be welding the engine mounting plate in. Alright guys, so next we're going to be tacking the engine mounting plate in, and then we'll reassemble everything else, and then we'll fully weld it later after I know it's going to be in the right position. So of this boy tacked in. Just enough to where it's not going to move anywhere. Now we're going to assemble everything else and make sure that everything works. So first things first, we got to get bearings for that boy there. So let me go grab the plates. I actually have the bearing over here. I have found my plates. Let's grab the bearing. Alright, so I got some more parts here. As you can see, I've got my other bearing. This is a brand new bearing. Then I also have 2 split collars for axles. And on top of that, I have these electrical fittings. These things. Now I'm going to be using these as collars. I'm just going to loosely mount that for now so that we can get the axle in. So now, let's slide the axle on in. Now, if any of you guys remember, only people that actually know me will remember, but it had a 35 sprocket that always kept bending. So I got a slightly smaller number 40 sprocket, so we have less chain issues, hopefully. Because as usual, there's probably going to be some issue that pops up that is going to be a pain in the rear, but we'll see. Hopefully this, as we know, that kind of goes in there. I'm going to flip it around so it's easier to access. I'm also going to put a split collar on here behind it just so that and then finally the brake disc. Go and slide this boy off. This is going to be the fun part. Not really, but whatever. Just make sure you can see what I'm doing. Now guys, if you know where I can buy 5-inch live axle rims or tires, just I need the new rim because these ones are plastic and I want metal ones. Let me know, please, because I would like to get one. Alright guys, I have installed the collars on the axle and the few other pieces. Yeah, the axle and the brake. So now we're going to mount the engine temporarily to figure out where I need my drive sprocket to be. So I just took it out for a test drive. Now the new sprocket I put on here is a different size than the old one. It's smaller, which means we get more speed, a little bit less torque. I don't think that's going to be detrimental though with this torque converter. This thing works awesome. The biggest worry I currently have though is the master link in here. So if I go ahead and just turn this a little bit, there we go. The master link almost hits that, and if I pull the chain over there, I just washed my hands, so I'm not going to do it, but it can actually hit it, and it's starting to wear it down. So hopefully that doesn't cause us any issues. Also, the chain's already loosened a little bit, and the fuel tank's only held on by 2 bolts, so it's kind of loose. It's not terrible, but it's not where we probably want to have it. I'm going to install the header pipe with the muffler on here because I love it. And the biggest good thing about this is that it no longer bounces up and down at high speed because the axle's bent. The axle's no longer bent. So I can finally just open it up and not have to worry about the thing bouncing around. We'll also need to hook up a throttle for the pedal and stuff, but brakes work awesome. Yeah, I'll insert some footage of this thing riding around about now. Alright guys, so far I am quite happy with how this thing has turned out. Unfortunately, my throttle cable broke, so I had to put a different one on here off the 3-seater. The 3-seater is actually down right now because the engine just blew a seal, so that's great. We'll get it fixed though. I'll do a video when we fix it. The whole axle setup here is working great. So far I got a top speed of 38 miles an hour. I'm 100% sure it can go faster though if we just get a straighter place to drive it. It was on a windy road, so we didn't really have a straight line to drive it in, so we couldn't get full speed. I'm sure it can go faster though. Yeah, I also need to weld this little brake adjustment thing down there solid so that we have brakes again, but other than that, it's going pretty good. So, till the next one, this is Cartman Productions. We'll see you in the next one.